Hi, this video is a review of the Tethrd Phantom Saddle you see me wearing, but first I'd like to show you how to properly install the Predator platform. First, you want to keep the platform in a closed position. Then you lock the strap on. Tighten the strap. Now you open the platform after you tighten it as much as you can do by hand. And if you notice there, it locks into place. Once I pull that down, it gets a lot tighter than you could by hand, and that way you can avoid ratchet straps and being loud in the woods when you're trying to be quiet right before a hunt. I included that little tutorial on installing the Predator platform because I hadn't seen any of those on YouTube thus far. Mainly they've just been with the saddle itself, but this is an actual review, and I want to tell you the pros and cons of owning a saddle, specifically the Tethrd Phantom. And you may be surprised, not everything is a pro. There are some cons, and that's why, like the title of the video says, I want to give you a good, unbiased, honest review. So let's first get to the pros. The first and the most obvious reason to own a saddle is if you're doing some run and gun hunting, especially people think of that as, you know, doing hunting on public land, and you're just going to be setting up somewhere. You're only going to be hunting in that tree one time, or you're hiking a mile out into the woods or more. If you're just hiking a few hundred yards from the truck, you may be able to carry in a climber just fine, or a hang-on. The second pro of the Tethrd Phantom Saddle is it's very easy to transport in and out of the woods. As you can see, I have this on. It's like wearing your harness, your regular safety harness, out into the woods. You can put this am steel strap right up over your neck. You can carry a pouch with your extra ropes. I like to carry a lineman's rope with me, that way I can get up and around branches. But I can wear it right into the woods. My small Phantom platform, because it is so small and so light, I can strap that right to my bag, and I like to film, so I still have a big bag with all my camera gear in it, but as far as the setup itself, it's super easy to transport. Third pro is it takes up almost no space. I mean, you don't have to have this gigantic climber in your truck or in the back rolling around where you're driving down the road. You just got everything right there in the front seat with you. The fourth pro I already mentioned, you can climb up using the one stick method. The fifth pro could go either way. It could be more comfortable than hang-on. Some people do not like hang-on stands. They don't think they're comfortable because you don't have the back like a big easy chair, like a climber. I forgot my knee pads. Generally, you can just hang on the tree like this. It's kind of like being in a hammock. It may look uncomfortable, like you don't have anything for your back to support, but they do make a strap. I don't have one, and it goes around your back, and you can adjust that. However, I find that if I just lean forward like this and put my legs up against the tree, it's pretty comfortable. You have to move around a bit. You have to take weight off your butt and maybe stand like this or prop one knee against the tree, but it's really quite comfortable for the way that it looks. It may not look comfortable, but it's not bad at all. The sixth one is, now as I said, if I'm sitting there on the tree like this, if a deer is coming, it does provide, if I'm facing in the direction that I think the deer are going to come. So that's one thing that is a little different than a climber. If you're in a climber or a hang-on, you're sticking out from the tree. Your profile's coming out from the tree, and you're facing in the direction that you think the deer are going to come from, so you can see them. But this way, you're actually facing the tree, and you're also facing the direction you think the deer are going to come from. So you do get that extra provided camouflage of your breaking up your outline, and that way you can just lean out like that. You got your little accessory belt around the tree with your bow hanging from that. You pick up your bow and you can get ready to draw on the deer. The seventh pro I already mentioned as well at the beginning. You can keep your lineman's belt right here in your little pouch, and by the way, these are great. I probably should have got two of them, but one is pretty sufficient if you can put both your tethered rope in there and your lineman's belt, but it allows you to get up over branches as you're climbing. And the eighth pro is that you can't fall because you're already hanging. So you're in a regular tree stand, there's usually some slack in the rope so that you can stand up when you see a deer coming, so you can draw back or shoot your rifle. But in a saddle, you're actually already hanging here. You're already ready. There's no place to fall. So there's no way that you can fall out of your tree stand, because this Amsteel rope is not going to break. It's rated for like over 2,000 pounds, and everything is rated for way more than what you would weigh. So there's no way to fall out of it. It's very safe. And that brings me to the cons. The first con is it's just simply not as comfortable as a climber. There's really no way around that. I mean, if you're hunting out of a nice big old Summit or an API stand, it's just going to be more comfortable. It's going to be like a lounge chair in the tree. So you can't get around that. But this is not made. It is made for comfort, but it's made for run and gun. It's made to be able to be mobile access to areas that are way out there. Carrying a big heavy climber just is not practical for that. Secondly, it's difficult to find a way to, if you do film, to mount the camera arm on the tree without it being in the way. Generally, I'm right-handed, so I draw if I'm shooting my bow, I draw it off of this side. So I normally like to have the camera arm mounted over here. That way I can still hold my bow in one hand and control the camera in the other hand if there's a deer coming. But the camera arm is not the right length to be able to squeeze it under here. DIY Sportsman has a lot of videos out there with a lot of specifics on the camera arm and the shortness or the longness of it to be able to get it underneath of your saddle bridge. I will try to find one of those and include a video in the link for that as well. But in general, I've just found it's way easier to just be sitting in a tree, have the camera on this side, and I can easily pan and film deer. This way the tree's kind of in the way and my bridge is in the way. That brings me to the last pro, and this is one of the biggest ones, and this is from my experience with using the saddle this past season. I had a rough season, I'll admit that. I actually came up empty-handed this past season. I don't blame that on the saddle, but it was just a difficult year. But the one time where I would have had an opportunity, or one of the only times I had an opportunity, a doe actually came underneath me, and I didn't see it or hear it. I just heard, movement in the woods, squirrels, that sort of thing. When I finally noticed the deer in front of my tree, it was actually turned around and looking right at me. So it was facing the other direction, but its head was turned all the way around. It was looking at me. So I must have done something. I must have made some kind of movement that I wasn't aware of, and it saw me. But had I been in a climber or a hang-on and I'd been sticking out the front of the tree, I'm pretty sure I would have seen that deer walk under my stand. I could have stood up slowly as it was going underneath of me and gotten ready to take a draw on my bow, and then that way if the deer happened to look at me, I probably would have been in a full draw position already and able to shoot. But the problem is because the tree is in front of me, I couldn't, even if I had my bow in my hand, I can't draw at that point because I'd have to do this. And there's no way that I can do that without the deer seeing me. So that is just that's probably the biggest con for me. But I would say all in all, I really like having the option of having the Phantom. I love to be able to go way out in the woods. I've already tried that a couple times where I hiked a mile out into the woods, and there was just nothing like just wearing my harness, my safety harness, right out into the woods, and the safety of not being able to fall out of a tree. So you really just need to ask yourself, is the saddle for me? If you only hunt on private lands and you're only hiking in from your truck 50 or 100 yards, and you know exactly where you're setting up, or you already have your tree stands out, obviously there's no reason for you to have a saddle. But if you're a public land hunter and you're going way out in the woods and you're trekking and you're hunting in this tree in the morning and hunting in this tree in the afternoon, and you're just all over the place and you don't know where you're hunting because you're scouting as you hunt, then I would definitely say it would be a good purchase to buy a tree saddle. Tethrd Phantom, I think, is a great brand. I really like it. So that's a completely unbiased review of this Tethrd Phantom saddle. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll We'll see you next time.